Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboardkeepers. I am your host, the Ref, and you guys already know we'll be right back in what? 30 seconds.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the Scoreboardkeepers. You're around here, we don't keep receipts, we keep the score. So if you want to get on the board, make your point. If it makes sense, we'll add it to the board. If it don't, we won't. Scoreboardkeepers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboardkeepers. I am your host, the Ref, where I keep you up to score in everything sports, hip hop, and hot topics. And y'all already know over here. Let's get the clock started. When it comes to this platform, y'all already know we get to it. Like when there's a topic on deck, we get to it. And we pull the scholars out. You know what I mean? We'll bring the scholars out and we'll do whatever we got to do in order to get the answers that we need. Okay. We'll do the proper research. We'll do it all. We'll do whatever we got to do in order to get to the information we need to get to. Okay. And this is no different. This is no different than anything else that we do. This is right in our wheelhouse. Okay. I mean, seriously, this is right in our wheelhouse, and everybody that follows our platform, you already noticed based on previous things that we've done and and the outcomes that we've had from it. Okay. We found lies and found people out here saying things that weren't true. And then we get to the bottom of it. Right. Well, let me just tell you something, Judge Arun Subramanian, you're no different. You're no different. You're no different than any of the other topics that we've covered. Okay. I'm curious as to the things that you learned from your mentor, okay, or somebody that helped you along the way. So, of course, we always find things that are helpful in explaining somebody's conduct or decisions. Speaking about conduct, I mean, let's talk about yours. You know, this Diddy case and media attention that it had for so long, I had got to the point where personally I was actually tired of hearing about it. Personally, I was tired of hearing about it. I heard so many different stories. We didn't know what was true. We didn't know who to believe. Once the media got a hold of it, we didn't know what was going on. We heard so many different stories. It was so easy to believe something. You know, when somebody goes out here and tell a lie will beat you home. A lie is faster than a light switch turning off. Okay, if you tell it to the right person, it'll beat you home. So this was no different. I'm gonna just tell y'all one of the things that I thought was a little classless. The thing that I thought was a little classless was that for the longest time they put that video out of Cassie and Diddy in that hotel, and then yet didn't really use it in the trial until it was time to sentence based on conduct. It was just sitting there just based on conduct, yet the jury was supposed to ignore it because everybody knew that it was domestic, DV going on. Okay. DV was going on. So I'm from here. I like to go back, find out who we're dealing with. Okay. Now we know that Judge Arun Subramanian's mentor or somebody that he was under, someone he clerked for, was Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Okay. Well respected, highly respected. But I, sir, would like to know, what did you learn from her? Because I find you to be not credible. For somebody in your position, I find you to come off as a liar, to be honest with you. I find you to come off as being a liar. Somebody in your position, I know when everybody hears about these federal judges, we're supposed to think that they're on a straight and the up and up, and they're supposed to be respected in a certain forum. Okay? Well, I don't see it like that because they're human beings. Human beings make mistakes. And for somebody who is new on the bench and with the educational background that you have, and you would think that you would be you would exemplify those that came before you. That's what I'm saying. So it's like if I was taught by an artist or how to paint, you in my paintings, you should see something that resembles my teacher, my sensei. You should see something in there. It should be some type of connection in there that should resemble my teacher. And same thing in sports. They say the team takes on the personality of the coach. If the coach is a quitter, the team will be a quitter. If the coach is a hard ass, then the players are going to be hard ass. They're going to want to run through a wall for their coach. I don't see Ruth Bader Ginsburg in Judge Arun Subramanian. I don't see it. Now, I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there that I don't see it because I'm just going to use his own words. I'm just going to use his own words on what he said. Okay? Now, what I did was I went back and I found out that Judge Arun Subramanian spoke at he did a keynote. And guys, you wouldn't believe where. You wouldn't believe where. He did a keynote speech at the 9th annual Alumni of Color event at Columbia Law School. Now, I mean, just go figure. Now, I'm just putting it to you. I'm just giving it to you, right? Now, in today's society in 2025, I don't know what people of color really means anymore. I know what it used to mean. I know what the definition used to be when it said people of color. Okay, they used to be talking about one specific type of individual. But now anybody can kind of like fall under that. So I don't really know who he's really speaking to when he's delivering this keynote. But I found it funny of some of the things that he said in there, and we're going to go over it right now. So let's get into this keynote real fast on what he was speaking about. Okay, so Judge Arun Subramanian did a keynote speech I mean, it's just funny. I find it funny that he did it with it was the 9th annual Alumni of Color event. Okay, and as you can see, it says he's the first judge of South Asian descent in the Southern District. Says representation matters to encourage students of color in law. Representation. I want y'all to remember that. I want y'all to remember that word right there. Because when we do our research over here, we listen, like I said, closely and intently. I've told y'all that on many occasions as to what a person is really saying and the verbiage that they use. That's very important. Not everybody can do that. They can't distinguish between words that people are using and then the truth or lie. Not everybody can do that. But it's the terminology that he uses. And this is probably when he was speaking, right? He didn't realize that, like I said, that these things would or when he was speaking, it's out there now forever. You know what I mean? You can't take it back. You said it and it's there. Not that you were saying anything bad, but what we're saying is that what you said then, it should match now. Okay? So you're saying you're speaking to students of color and you telling them that representation matters. Okay. The U.S. District Judge Arun Subramanian recently welcomed to his courtroom in the Southern District of New York a group of high school students of color who were seeking advice for an upcoming moot court competition. Their excitement at meeting him, the first judge of South Asian descent in the district, was palpable. Subramanian recalled during his remarks at Columbia Law School's annual Alumni of Color talk and reception. The kids told their coach how excited they were to see someone on the bench who looked like them. He said, and I get it, because as a kid from a different background, it's easy to feel like an outsider looking in. It's easy to look like an outsider looking in. So at this point, you're thinking that Judge Arun Subramanian has an understanding to some of the things that have gone on within the judicial system and let's just put it out there, the African American community. Okay, it's no secret that the jails are full with minorities. Okay, we're not saying that people of all races don't do crimes, but what we are saying is that it's a disproportionate amount of minorities that fill these places. And for me personally, I'm more concerned about the rehabilitation than I am the punishment. Okay, that's where I'm coming from. Okay, I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Okay, that's not what we do over here. You know, everybody makes mistakes. If we were to throw you out every time you make a mistake, there wouldn't be anybody on this planet. So if you're walking around here thinking that you don't make mistakes, then you have an issue that you need to see. You need to see somebody, you know, or you just don't really care about what others are going through and you just see the world through your lens, and that's selfish. That's narcissistical. Okay. So, you need to check yourself. But what we're finding after all these times, it's 2025. We're finding out that these places don't really rehabilitate anybody. They send them right back out on the streets, and they come out on the streets and start talking the same thing. How? Because all I got to do is turn on the internet and look around, and I'll see it. People coming home, coming from jails with their bag and meeting some of the same people that they met before they went in. That wasn't no good to them then, and damn sure ain't no good to them now. So we got to be very careful and very mindful of what's going on. So I'm not, like I said, I'm more about the rehabilitation than I am about the deterioration of leaving an individual somewhere and then sending them back on the street in the same condition. Now they come back out there 10 years later, and you got somebody's mom walking down the street, and here you release somebody that has not been rehabilitated, and he goes over there and does something that he has no business doing. Because it should be more focused on the rehabilitation and not the punishment. So let's get right back into this letter by Judge Arun Subramanian, this keynote. Now he's speaking to kids of color. Subramanian told the audience of more than 100 alumni, faculty, and students at the January 25th event held at the Andes in Midtown Manhattan to appreciate how much impact they have as mentors. Every one of you has someone in your life who has looked up to you and who is just as excited as those kids in my courtroom to see a leader in the field of law who is like them, because it makes them believe. Listen, I need y'all to pay close attention, because it makes them believe that they are not outsiders. He said, representation matters. When I heard these words right here, the first thing that came to my mind, the very first thing that came to my mind was Puffy's kids. The very first thing that came to my mind was Puffy's children. And then secondly was all the other individuals that's in his field that look up to him and see him in a certain position and want to be or accomplish some of the same things that he has. Okay? What we're doing is we're looking at Judge Arun Subramanian's words, and then we're looking at what's going on now. Okay? Listen, Puffy's kids have no mother. They have no mother. Puffy is a first-time offender. Okay, if y'all see guilt in what he's done, based upon what he was charged with, not the video, that's the law. Okay, that we got to go by what he was charged with and what we were watching with our eyes. Who was being taken advantage of? Who was being taken advantage of? That's because now that after all this stuff is over with, we see the whole entire play now. Because his sentencing was based upon that video. When he was charged and acquitted by a jury of his peers on some other charges. So this man gets right in here and said that says representation matters. Yet Puffy's been in jail for a year. Okay? He's been in jail for a year. I don't hear anybody running around here talking about who's going to take care of these kids, who's going to do this, that, and the third. It's just like they don't even care. And it makes one wonder. It makes one wonder why would these people not care? Why is nobody? People are afraid to talk about his kids because they might find a soft spot in there for him. They disliked him that much that they wouldn't talk about the children. Because not talking about the children gives you a green light to keep throwing darts. And then I heard someone say, oh, they're not kids any longer. Well, somebody's 20, 30 years this, that, and the old. No, listen, when these kids didn't have a parent at their graduation, one of their natural born parents was not at their graduation. That's something that they can't repeat. That's for life. That's for life. So when he says representation matters, you damn right it matters. So if you know that, you knew that during this whole entire process where you denied bail, right? You did a few suspicious things throughout this trial to show that you were biased. It's no doubt in my mind that you were biased. I'm 1,000% sure that you were biased. I'm 1,000% sure that when you went home, there was probably certain things that you were saying about Diddy that you couldn't say out in the public. I would even go as far as to say you might have envied him a little bit. You may have been jealous because, of your family coming from humble beginnings as if he didn't. You may have used your parents' struggle to get here from India as immigrants against him being here and making it and you not respecting him or respecting the culture in general. And I listen, this is not my words. These are your words in your actions, the things that you've done. The things that you've done. This is not about whether we believe, at this point, it's not whether we believe Diddy was innocent or guilt. This is about the law. This is about how you, in your profession, went against what your mentor believes in and kind of like abusing the law. Like you did some special things in this case that wouldn't normally be done to an individual, is what we're saying. So if you can do it to him, you can do it to anybody. So this case is bigger than Diddy. Here you are with a mentor like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and you go off and you do something. You're under this lady, right? And she's your mentor, and you go and do something directly opposing her wishes and her beliefs. You failed. You failed. What were you listening to? What were you paying attention to? That's the question. That's the question. See, everybody's caught up on whether Diddy is innocent or guilty, or they just caught up on the video and they're emotionally involved, so they can't make a good assessment on really what's going on behind the scenes. So I will go. So we're going to continue to get into your words, because I went and found this, and I was surprised nobody else found this. But that's not unusual, because that's how it goes over here on the Scoreboard Keepers. We find things that other people don't. That's what separates us. This is why it's so important for you to subscribe to this channel, Because when we go into things and we dig into things, and don't make me bring the scholars out, because it get deep over here. If I go call the scholars up and they come over here, it can get even deeper. So Subramanian goes on and says, Subramanian, who was confirmed to the federal bench in March 2023, spoke about his impressions of the district, including the fact that while many prominent cases are tried there, the cases that don't make headlines are given the same considered attention. You see that? This is before Puffy's case. This is before Puffy's case. He's letting you know. He's letting you know that the cases that don't make headlines are given the same considered attention. So if you know that, then why weren't the results the same? See, you see what I'm saying? Yeah, the same, they get the same kind of attention, but they don't get the same kind of results. So if you know those other cases that didn't make the headlines, like they were bringing up in your courtroom, okay, Jason Driscoll, and then bringing up all of those cases and showing you how, you know, that Diddy's punishment don't match the police officer that was running a whole entire prostitution ring, and he only got like 12 months or 15 months or something like that. Yet you give Puffy 50 months and a $500,000 fine because you're trying to find money to pay for all of the wasted money that you overcharged them with. $500,000? You want to pay all the prosecutors. You want to pay for everything, all the wasted time. So you're basically, everybody in that courtroom was in Diddy's pockets, including you, Judge. Including you. You couldn't even help yourself. You threw a $500,000 fine on this man. $500,000 to a first-time offender who offered you $1 million for bail that you turned down. Judge, you're full of shit. I don't trust you, man. I wouldn't trust. You're somebody that I wouldn't trust personally. You're somebody that I would not trust personally because the things that you do, it's about your actions. It's about your actions. Like, I hear what you're saying, but your actions do not match your words. It didn't even during the course of the trial. How do I know that? You sat right there and asked that man. You sat right there and looked in Diddy's face and said, when you considered bail, you asked him, you don't want to go back to the MDC, do you? You asked him that, right? As if he was supposed to say, yeah, I want to go back to that place with the rats, the mice, cold water, no heat. Like, what was he supposed to say? Yes, I want to go back. Like, why would you ask him a question like that, right? Because you wanted to see, that was diabolical. Because you wanted to see that if you wanted him to beg you to be honest. You was trying to break him. Because then after he said no, he shook his head no, you went right and then sent them back. You went right and sent them back. So you was taking little jabs and little stabs at him, man. And this makes me think that it was something going on in your upbringing. This is why everybody I'm around, I watch. Because I know that it's something personal going on here. I do. This keynote goes on to say, I see looking around my court. This is Judge Arun Subramanian's words, y'all. I see looking around my court distinguished lawyers who could be doing anything in the profession and making millions of dollars, Subramanian said, but they have chosen instead to spend every day and a lot of nights trying their hardest to reach the fair and just results in even the smallest of cases. So we were all asking during the court, do we think that he recognized this dream team that Diddy put together? Do we think that he recognized them? You damn right. He's telling you right here. He's telling you right here. So don't think that he didn't see or didn't know that he was going up against a dream team. He knew prior, especially with him being young on the bench. So we're going to go here and we're going to now think that he wasn't confiding in somebody to get help to make some. We're going to sit here and think that he wasn't working with the prosecution. Listen, look, the prosecution asked for all of those damn years, 11 years, so he could fall in the middle of what they was asking for and what the defense was asking for and seem fair. This is how diabolical this man is. You ask for 1,000 years, and he'll fall the defense asks for 500 years. He falls in the middle. This is how I know that he was working with the prosecution. This is why he was accused of being a 13th juror. It's unbelievable. It really is. It really is unbelievable that play that they did and everybody thought that was fair. Because if he would have went above those guidelines or whatever it was, it would have looked crazy for a first-time offender. Diddy has no record. He has no record. Yet he was treated like somebody that had done 3, 4, 5 crimes before. So yes, right here he says, I see, looking around my court, distinguished lawyers who could be doing anything in their profession and making millions of dollars, Subramanian said, but they have chosen instead to spend every day and a lot of nights trying their hardest to reach a fair and just result in even the smallest cases. So just imagine when Diddy was up there. He was excited to see Diddy. He was excited. There's no telling what he was going back and talking about. This is a badge on his sleeve. That care makes a real difference, he added, not just for the litigants themselves, but in the public's understanding. See, when I heard this right here, all I thought about was that video. The video that he should have made sure, not just one time, not just one time, he should have made sure throughout the course of that trial to ignore that video. I don't care if you got to say it 50 times. He should have put some extra mustard on that video that got out, okay? That that the only thing he used for was for sentencing conduct. See, this is what I'm saying. You're working at what the reason I'm saying this, right? It's going to make all the sense when I get into the rest of this episode. Because we're talking about conduct that was acquitted by the jury. Acquitted conduct. You got to keep remembering that. You got to keep this in your head. We're talking about the law. We're not talking about your personal feelings. We're talking about the law of our country. He says that care makes the real difference, he added, not for just the litigants themselves, but in the public's understanding. Because they can be swayed one way or the other, which is what happened with that video. When we saw that video, we thought Puff was going for life. We thought that was the RICO and done. We found out different. Because he beat him on the RICO. Puffy beat him without taking a stand, without calling a witness. So that should tell you something about the information that they had. It says that there is a forum to be heard in this country, even for the outsiders in our society, which is not the case in many places around the world. What? What? Do y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this? Listen, these are his words. It says that even for the outsiders in our society, what outsiders? I'm just going to let y'all, I'm going to let y'all minds use your imagination. Use your imagination or is that a narcissistic comment right there? Is that a narcissistic comment right there? This is why we pulled this up. Now I need y'all to pay close attention. This is what we do over here at the Scoreboard Keepers. If you haven't already, like, share, and subscribe to the channel because this is what we do. Judge, what outsiders are you talking about? What exactly did you mean? These are quotes. I'll read it again. That care makes a real difference, he added, not just for the litigants themselves, but in the public's understanding that there is a forum to be heard in this country, even for the outsiders in our society, which is not the case in many places around the world. So damn it, I guess we outsiders now. We can pay taxes, but we outsiders now. What outsiders were you talking about? I would have loved to have asked him that question, which we know we'll never get the right answer to now. But just imagine, what outsiders is he talking about? Is he talking about the ones that he's above? Is he talking about us as the public, where they can feed us any information and then we're supposed to believe it? What exactly is he talking about? Help me understand. That's a very unusual word to use making a comment like that in a keynote speech to people of color. That's a very odd comment. Very strange. Let's just move on. Let's just continue. A former partner at Sussman Godfrey Subramanian clerked for Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Hold on. For those of you who didn't know who Ruth Bader Ginsburg was, let's just introduce you to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That's Ruth Bader Ginsburg right there. How you doing, miss? How are you? I give you the utmost respect, okay? Because I know you were fair, okay, and impartial. I know it, okay? I want to say salute to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Very strong individual, come from humble beginnings and made it to the top of her profession. Okay? So I want to just say salute to her, because she did what she was supposed to do and she was fair in doing it. And she was adamant about her position, and she believed in what and stood on her square 10 toes down. Okay? And wait till you guys see where this is going. So, getting back to the Judge Arun Subramanian. And she, let's go back. A former partner, this is the Judge Arun Subramanian, a former partner at Sussman Godfrey and Subramanian, clerked for Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and said that his decision to pursue being a judge came just after her death in 2020. Do y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this? This was just 5 years ago. This is just 5 years ago. They put the hands and the life of Diddy in a man who just came around in 2020. How do y'all feel about that? I mean, how do y'all feel? What would you do if this was you? How would you feel if this was you? So let's just continue. Because a lot of things in here are eye-opening, but we'll discuss it in the end. A former partner at Sussman Godfrey and Subramanian clerk for Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and said that his decision to pursue being a judge came just after her death in 2020. As he stood with other former clerks outside the Supreme Court where Ginsburg lay in repose, I wouldn't be here. Listen at this. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for the justice, he said. For that and everything else, I am forever in her debt. I am forever in her debt. Do you understand what her mission was? Judge, you clerked for this woman. You clerked for this woman. Did you know what her mission was? Did you know what she stood for? If you forever in her debt, why would you be on the other side of the room for things that she believed in and things that she didn't? Why? I find it very interesting because I'm wondering were you paying attention? Were you paying attention to what she was saying in there, or were you just coming to work? Did you know the history of her? Did you know what was going on? What was the deal? I find it hard to believe that you were paying attention or you believed in her moral background. I don't think that you did. I don't know if you respected her. I don't know. Because I don't see Ruth Bader Ginsburg in your decision with Diddy. I don't see it. You clerk for her, yet your decision in this case looks totally opposite for something that she would have done. And that was that. And this is a woman. This is a woman who, in this case, would have probably went against Cassie Ventura. More than likely, based on the law. She would not have compromised her integrity just because of gender connection. She wouldn't have done it. Subramanian, whose parents immigrated to the U.S. from India a few months before his birth in 1979, cited Ginsburg often quoted remarks that the difference between a bookkeeper in the garment district, as Ginsburg's mother was, and a Supreme Court justice was simply one generation. Woo! That woman was talking that talk. That woman was talking that talk. She said the difference is only one generation. One generation, y'all. That's what she said. The difference is only one generation. That's the difference between a Supreme Court justice and somebody working in the garment or driving a trash truck. That's what she's telling you. Let's get to it. Everyone in this room has a similar. This is Judge Arun Subramanian speaking to these people of color, and yet he gets up there and has a black man on trial who was acquitted for something, and he's going against everything that he's basically telling these kids right here. He's going against it. I'm just saying. I'm just going off of what he's saying. He's not believable. Everyone, this is what he's telling them. Everyone in this room has a similar story that underscores the possibilities and the progress that can be achieved in just a single generation in America, he said. Yes. Yes, that's how it's supposed to be. That's how it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? Listen at this, y'all. I want y'all to listen to this. This is what's so crazy. Okay? It says that in the style of former TV talk show host David Letterman, Subramanian also entertained the audience with a list of top 10 things I didn't expect about life on the Southern District among the little known facts he shared. Now look at this, y'all. Now I heard some people discussing this, right? Because they don't think that Subramanian was being respected, you know, on a certain level. And like I said, with him being new there, I would totally agree with that. But just listen at these things that he shared with these people, right? This is when he's opening up a little bit because he's talking to these kids. Yet he's being quoted, okay? He said that he didn't know that you had to buy your own robe, right? Subramanian ordered his robe online to the dismay of his clerks. Listen at this. To the dismay of his clerks, the robe I got would be too long if I were 6'5", and it has billowing sleeves. It's more of an evening gown. Whenever we have a hearing, my clerks ask me if I'm going to put my gown on, which I think is their way of suggesting that maybe I should go and get something a little bit more tailored. There's some judges that a clerk would never speak to a judge that way. Y'all hear what I said? There's some judges out here that a clerk would think twice before saying something like that to a judge. Are you going to put your evening gown on? So it shows you that they have a certain type of relationship. It seems joking, right? It seems like it could be a joking type of relationship. But then again, it seems like it's a little bit lack of respect there as well. To the point where I feel comfortable enough that I can say these type of things to you. And he probably think it's a joke, but not getting that American sarcasm. He may not totally comprehend the American sarcasm. So they ask him, are you going to put your evening gown on? It's also, to be honest with you, it's also homophobic. Because only women put on evening gowns. I'm just going to leave that there. Guess what else, guys? This is why y'all need to subscribe to this channel, because we give you things that nobody else gives you. The judge loves karaoke. Everybody was wondering if he was listening to Diddy back in the day, and was he growing up on Diddy, and did he ever listen to rap music and so on and so forth. I said that this judge probably envied Diddy in more ways than one, and it was probably some jealousy there, especially when he seen the type of women that Diddy was sleeping with. They were probably in his eye beautifully. They were probably beautiful to him. The judge loves karaoke. He said, as the new kid on the court, listen at this. He's telling you right here, as the new kid on the court, Subramanian hosted a karaoke event. Are you serious? The judge was entertaining? What? I know damn well y'all hear exactly what I'm saying out here. Hold on. Around here, when we say things like that, we got to do something. Hold on. This one judge, Arun Subramanian, holds karaoke events. Do you guys know what karaoke events are? He holds karaoke events. We always give y'all stuff over here that you don't get nowhere else. Listen at this. The judge loves karaoke. As the new kid on the court, Subramanian hosted a karaoke event, the first in the district's 235-year history. He's the first one in 235 years to host a karaoke event because he's into that. Karaoke, when you're doing karaoke, you're impersonating these artists that sing, rap, or whatever. This judge is sitting up there envious of Diddy. Are you kidding me? You got somebody up there faking it, looking at somebody that's on trial that's the real deal. It says Judge James Duane didn't have a karaoke happy hour, but I did. And I have to say, I did not know that there was so much enthusiasm for karaoke at the mother court. Hopefully, a tradition that will live on for decades. I bet you they was up in there mocking Diddy. Damn it, this is what we do over here at Scoreboard Keepers. This is what we do. This is what we do over here. This Judge Arun Subramanian of this Diddy case holds annual karaoke events, y'all. I ain't say it. I didn't say it. He said it. He holds karaoke events. He was the first one in 235 years on the mother court to hold karaoke events. Y'all make of it what you may. Let's continue. Also, check your monogram. Inside the court, judges go by their initial. Y'all gonna love this shit right here. Hold on, let me take it down so you can't see it. Yo, listen, everybody's listening right now. Give yourself a round of applause for coming over here to the Scoreboard Keepers and listening to what you don't get anywhere else. You guys are gonna drop dead when y'all hear this right here. Y'all gonna crack up when you hear this right here. I would have never known this if he didn't say it. I would have never known what I'm about to show you if he didn't say it. Listen, can I get a 1 in the chat if you're paying attention? If anybody's paying attention, can I get a 1 in the chat? I just need 1. I just need to know y'all paying attention. I haven't been paying attention to the chat right now, but if you're paying attention, can you throw a 1 in the chat? Because what I'm going to read to you is worth a 1. It's worth a chuckle. It's worth a chuckle. I need a 1 in the chat if you're paying attention. Just a 1. That's all. There it is. There it is. That's all I needed. Watch this. Y'all going to love this right here. Mind you, these were the things that Judge Arun Subramanian was telling these kids about things that they didn't know that he does in the court. Okay? He gave them like 10 things, and I'm getting down to this one right here. Check your monogram. He says, inside the court, judges go by their initials, Subramanian said, which raised an issue for me because my middle initial is S. Chambers of ass. His name is Arun Subramanian and his middle initial is S. So he said it would always come up as chambers of ass. And he says it doesn't have a great ring to it, but I very quickly had to stop using my middle initial. His initials say chambers of ass. Listen, I mean, you can't make this shit up. You can't make it up. His Arun S. Subramanian. They said he said he had to change it because it was always coming up as chambers of ass. You can't make this shit up, man. You just can't. You can't do it. So it says, it goes on to say that it gives you a little information down here about the supporting the future students of color, okay, into becoming in the law, okay. I want to stop there, right? I want to stop there because these things that gets down here about Columbia is not, has nothing to do with really about what he was saying personally. But as you can read in his keynote, right? You hear his personality coming out. That's why it was so important for me to pull this up. This judge holds karaoke events in the court, and he's the first judge in 235 years to hold karaoke. Karaoke is strictly impersonating your favorite artists. And probably artists, I just can't imagine what they were saying in those chambers when they go back there and what they were saying about Diddy. I can't imagine. It was probably some of the most awkward conversations that if we heard it, if we were a fly on the wall, we wouldn't believe it. So now we're going to get to the nitty gritty, because now we found out that he was a clerk of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. This lady, okay? This is Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So while he was busy, right, holding karaoke, right? While he was busy holding, look, guys. Was he doing karaoke? Y'all tell me. Because I don't know. Is this a karaoke moment? Is he holding karaoke in his chambers right here? He's the first person in 235 years, 235 years, to hold karaoke in the mother court. This is the guy that sentenced Diddy. This is the guy that sentenced Diddy. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Thumb up the video. I'm giving y'all information. Y'all didn't know this. Y'all didn't know this. Listen, check this out. So, he clerked for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Okay? There she is. Hi, miss. How you doing? Much respect to you. Because, you know, you kept and you did the law fairly. Okay? You was about fairness. Okay? I see it in your eyes too. Okay? I want you to know, if she was alive today, she would slap Judge Arun Subramanian. She would slap you. You failed this lady, Judge. You failed this lady. You didn't hear what she was saying. You failed her. You're holding karaoke in the courts. They're asking you if you're putting your evening gown on, your clerks in the courts. You failed this woman. You got right up there, and not only this is how I know. Not only did you mock her stance, you got up in there and just totally disrespected yourself. Totally disrespected yourself. You don't think all your peers are watching you to see if you would hold to your mentor's beliefs? All the years she spent on there, all the years she spent on the bench, and then you come up there and you do something totally against everything that she believed in? I think that's so weird. I think that is so weird. But check it out, though. Right? Let's get into it. This is what she was against, Judge. Acquitted conduct in sentencing. She was against using acquitted conduct in sentencing. One might ask out there, for you guys that don't know, for everybody that's out there that don't know, okay, I know you guys have been hearing it, but it's about time somebody give you the definition of it, of what acquitted conduct is. And not you just hearing it, and why we're saying that this case is bigger than Diddy. It's bigger than Diddy. Some of the people that's out here defending this are not necessarily fans of Diddy or anything that he's done. It's about the law and how this law could get you, me, and everybody else in some nonsense that we don't have nothing to do with if they was to continue to do business like this. Acquitted conduct. Under the current federal sentencing practice, judges sometimes consider relevant conduct actions tied to the same scheme of course of conduct when determining a sentence, and that can include acquitted conduct, charges of which the defendant was found not guilty under a lower standard, preponderance of evidence, rather than the jury's beyond a reasonable doubt. Does everybody understand that? Does everybody understand that? The approach has been controversial because critics argue it undermines the jury's role, the presumption of innocence, and due process rights. Basically, what they're telling you is that the judge got to a point where he said to hell with the jurors. He didn't like what the jury did. This is why I told everybody that judge wanted to give Diddy life. He was pissed off when they came back with that not guilty verdict on Rico, because he had to go to work after that. He wanted to convict Diddy of something. He had to go hang on those little 2 charges and try to make them bigger than the RICO. That's what he did. He was pissed because he wanted to come and tell Diddy, you got life. This man did not like Diddy. He did not like him personally. This man is of Indian descent. He's from a Tamil background, okay, of Indian immigrants. He did not like Diddy. And it's time people stop playing around acting like he did. It's time for people to stop acting like he was treating Diddy fairly in that court. No, he was manipulating everything that he possibly could in order to punish Diddy. In order to punish Diddy. He didn't really give Diddy anything in the court. Anything. He didn't give him anything in the court. The U.S. Sentencing Commission proposed in 2023, just 2 years ago, to limit or reshape how acquitted conduct is weighed, but later withdrew that proposal for further study. So he knows that this is a problem. Yo, listen. I need y'all to hear what I'm saying to you. This man knows that it's a problem. He knows that this acquitted conduct is an issue, and he knew that when he used it, it could be, in some circles, a topic of discussion. But he didn't think that we would understand it out here. He didn't think that the people out here would understand it, like me, you, and everybody else around it. He thought that he could do something like this, and then it would just blow over. And then it would just blow over because he thought people would get caught up in so much judicial jargon that you wouldn't pay attention to that. But no, Judge, I beg to differ. No, we totally understand what's going on here, and we totally know that you manipulated the law in order to get whatever it is you wanted. And then not only that, you went against your mentor. You went against your mentor, which makes us definitely not respect you now because we know that you weren't paying attention in class. Listen, Ginsburg's association criticism on acquitted conduct sentencing. She was very adamant about this type of thing. When I say adamant, she might as well have cussed. Listen, she might as well have used a curse word when she said this. I can hear her now saying, doggone it, enough is enough. Like, instead of her saying, damn it, I'm tired of this shit. No, she would say, doggone it, my golly geesh, I've had enough. Listen to her quote. Listen to her quote. It says, it says, acquitted conduct sentencing, there is a record that she, along with Justice Scalia and Thomas, dissented from denial of a certiorari in the case of raising precisely this issue. Okay? So check it out. It says that the Congressional Research Service notes several former and current Supreme Court justices have expressed concern that the use of acquitted conduct as sentencing may be unconstitutional. Among them, then, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg joined a dissent from denial of certiorari in a case challenging acquitted conduct rules. She's totally on the other side of the fence about this. Totally. Not halfway, not straddling. She's on the other side of the fence. In that dissent, she, with Justice Scalia and Thomas, contended that any fact necessary to prevent a sentence from being substantively unreasonable must be either admitted by the defendant or found by the jury. Not the 13th juror. Did y'all hear what I just said? I need you to pay close attention. She said right here, it doesn't get any more clear than this. In that dissent, she, not by herself, with Scalia and Thomas, she had backup. 2 witnesses contended that any fact necessary to prevent a sentence from being substantively unreasonable must be either admitted by the defendant or found by the jury. Now we know that Diddy's upward departure is unreasonable because he's a first-time offender. And not to mention, there's nobody else in the country that got charged like he did and is going through what he did after already serving a year in jail. There's something else going on here. Meaning, in their view, acquitted conduct should not be used to increase sentence in a way that undermines the jury's verdict. Man, Judge, you ain't worth a damn. You ain't worth a, bro. Let me just tell you. I'm just telling you straight up. We're saying this here at Scoreboard Keepers. You ain't worth a damn, man. You ain't worth a damn. See, this is what I'm saying. When we can go and find things like this, this is what makes us so discouraged, man. I get discouraged about things like this because these are the things that just the public, man, they don't have a clue what's going on. They don't have a clue to what's going on. This woman has been in. This woman has sworn herself in to serve her country and to make sure that everybody's upholding the law, even her peers. And she get one of her clerks, that's being told by his clerks that he's wearing an evening gown and holding karaoke for the first time in a place that nobody's ever done it in 235 years. 235 years, never been karaoke in the mother court. And he's holding it and hoping it's become a tradition. Right? That they're in there pretending to be singers and rappers and whatever else they got going on in there, right? And then you got a woman like this, right? That's holding it down. It's mind-boggling. You hear me? Mind-boggling. Meaning, in their views, that means Thomas, Scalia, and Ginsburg, acquitted conduct should not, I repeat, should not be used to increase sentence in a way that undermines the jury's verdict. And that's exactly what Judge Arun Subramanian did. That's exactly what Judge Arun Subramanian did. And guess what? He did it in opposition of his mentor. What does that tell you about a man like that? What does that tell you about a man like that could do something who we quoted said he's forever in debt to this woman? He's a liar. He didn't want to become a judge until after her death and then said that he's forever in debt to her. If this is your mentor and this is somebody that you're forever in debt to, why would you go against her wishes and do something that you know she was totally against? Not just one justice, but 2 other ones, 3 total. Listen, so her position in that context is critical. Skeptical of allowing judges to override or undercut jury verdicts by enhancing sentences based on the conduct the jury rejected. Oh man, listen, this is what we do over here. This is what we do over here. Listen, I need y'all. This is why y'all have to pay attention out here. This is why people get so steered in the wrong direction, like sheep being led to the slaughter because they don't know what the hell is going on. This is Judge Arun Subramanian's mentor. It says very clearly, so her position in that context is critical, skeptical of allowing judges to override or undercut jury verdicts by enhancing sentences based on conduct the jury rejected. The jury clearly rejected Cassie's statements. They clearly rejected everything that he's talking about. He went and used that conduct anyway, based on, in objection and opposition of his mentor, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. If she was alive right now, she would slap the shit out of him. If she was alive right now, she would slap the shit out of him. Judge Arun Subramanian, you should be ashamed of yourself. Because we're finding things on you right now. We're not only today have we found out that you're holding karaoke in a place that never did it in 235 years. We're finding out that you spoke and held a keynote speech to people of color at Columbia University, and you told them things in that keynote that you're not standing by. You're not standing by because this lady right here was your mentor. She stood totally and firmly against what you're doing. Totally. She was totally in opposition of what you did in this case. Let's continue. It says, I want to show y'all something, right? I want to show y'all something. It says that any fact that increases the penalty to which a defendant is exposed constitutes an element of crime and must be found by a jury, not a judge. This has gone on long enough. That's quoting Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Remember I told y'all that she wanted to curse? I told y'all she wanted to curse. It sounded like, because she said, she quotes like, this is going on for long enough. This is her quote. This is Ruth Bader Ginsburg's quote. She says, any fact that increases the penalty to which a defendant is exposed constitutes an element of crime and must be found by a jury, not a judge. This is going on long enough. And she was pissed. She was pissed, y'all. And it says Ginsburg joined in dissent, insisting that using acquitted conduct to enhance sentence undermines the role of the jury. It's unbelievable. It says from the Congressional Research Service summary, then Justices Antonin Scalia, joined by then Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Justice Clarence Thomas, dissented from the denial of the certiorari in the case, contending that any fact necessary to prevent a sentence from being substantively unreasonable is an element that must be either admitted by the defendant or found by the jury. I mean, it gets no more plain than that. In other words, she argued that findings used for sentencing enhancements should require jury findings, not judicial findings by preponderance. What? Yo, let me tell you what. This woman is talking that talk. This woman is talking that talk. This woman is talking that talk. Y'all hear what I'm telling you? She is talking that talk. Check this out. Check this out. Ginsburg's stance is more protective of jury rights, right? Her view in that dissent suggests that sentencing enhancements based on acquitted conduct violate the Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. She saw that as a constitutional red line. Check this out. Check this out, y'all. Watch this. Watch this. I'm going to read it again. Ginsburg's stance is more protective of jury rights. Her view in that dissent suggests that sentencing enhancements based on acquitted conduct violate the Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. She saw that as a constitutional red line. Do I need to read it? The Sixth Amendment of the United States Constitution. In all criminal prosecution, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confirmed with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for fair obtaining witnesses in the favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. It's crazy. This is exactly what she was talking about. Right here, the informed of the nature of the cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. We just finding out that one of the girls that was, I don't want to say her name wrong, but one of the girls in this case who they said they couldn't find, we come to find out afterwards that they could find her. They just didn't like what she was saying. It wasn't going along with what the prosecution wanted to put out, so they didn't even call her. They act like they couldn't find her. Like, I mean, who's upholding our law? And nobody's worried. Nobody's worried or concerned about this. This is Ruth Bader Ginsburg's, I would say her, I don't want to call him a bellhop, but he was learning from her. This was her student. This was her student. This is why look, check this out. Judge Subramanian's approach versus Ginsburg's ideal. If Subramanian uses the conduct partially discredited by a jury or borderline as aggravating factor, you can contrast that with Ginsburg's principles that such conduct should not be used without jury finding. Like he's totally opposed to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Totally. Listen, when she says it has gone on long enough, that's powerful, y'all. That means that the law has been using it as a weapon for a long time. It says that she and Scalia called for the Supreme Court to resolve the issue. They was pushing for this hard. You would think that Judge Arun Subramanian would have taken the torch. He was supposed to take the torch. He's going to be a laughingstock among his peers, man, because he was under this lady, and I don't know what he's going to do. I'm gonna just tell you right now, I wouldn't want to get off on this foot in my career as being on the bench, man. I just wouldn't. You when you pick up the torch of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, you're going somewhere. You're totally not doing that. You're going off into another direction. It's crazy. It says the legitimacy versus the precedent tension. Ginsburg's view is more normative, what should be. Meanwhile, the courts often rely on precedent. That's the natural tension you can explore, when you're watching these cases go on, and you can see it and hear it. You can hear it. And I totally disagree with almost everything that this judge did throughout the course of this trial. throughout the course of his trial. I thought that he was in over his head from the very beginning. I really did. I always thought that I thought that he went against what the I thought that he went against what the defense wanted the whole entire time. Okay, I just did. All the way down to just recently, with this RDAP program and Diddy wanting to go to Fort Dix, and he's going against that. And it's just crazy. It's just like everything's built for personal punishment. Or I don't know what they want. So, but just listen to some of the things he's done though, right? I just want y'all to think about this for a second, okay? Just listen. After everything that you know, right? Just for everything that I've been telling you about today, about him personally, about him after 235 years, he's the first person to hold a damn karaoke in the mother court. Judge Arun, listen, this guy is holding, damn it, karaoke's. Is this a karaoke right here? Is he having karaoke? I just want y'all to pay attention. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, right? I want to say this. Somebody like this woman right here, you would think that he would take that torch and run with it and take it as far as he possibly can without making mistakes. He didn't do that. He was nominated by President Biden in 2022. Okay. And we know that he's of South Asian descent, Indian American. Okay. Listen what he did. He denied bail for Diddy following the conviction, right? Citing dangers posed by admitted patterns of violence, so-called, right? So we know when he used that, he went and he said, hey, this was admitted by your own counsel, right? Denied bail, that he was looking for any reason not to give bail. Any reason. He denied a motion for mistrial from the defense alleging prosecutorial misconduct. We know that happened in his kangaroo court. Okay, we know that happened. We know that there was people on the stands perjuring themselves. Right. He removed the juror during the trial due to inconsistent statements on residency or lack of candor issues. And the defense came back and said that it was racial bias to remove in that removal. Okay. He rejected partial verdicts, at one point instructing jurors to continue deliberations. Like listen at this shit. He rebuked Diddy in court for facial gestures and saying there was interaction toward the jury and warned that he could be removed from the court for improper conduct. See, he just wanted to throw Diddy out of there. He wanted Diddy to get life. I mean, just thinking about that. Just think about it. Just think about that. Now, this is the guy that professionally, prior to being a judge, he worked as a clerk for Supreme Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who's totally against using acquitted conduct for enhancing sentencing. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, right? I'm just saying this, man. The defense claimed that he's a 13th juror, man. And based upon his history and his resume, I would have to double down on that this judge should have been totally removed from this case a long time ago. He should have been removed from this case a long time ago. Judge Arun Subramanian, if Ruth Bader Ginsburg was your mentor and you knew that she stood against using acquitted conduct to enhance sentences, you weren't paying attention while you was in class. If this woman if she was around today, she might slap you in your face for you being around her all that time and not picking up nothing that she was putting down. It's a disgrace. She didn't put all those years in on the bench for you to come up there and do a miscarriage of justice by going against things that she was trying to actually teach you. Your business is all out in the street right now. You did a keynote to the people of color at Columbia University, and we found out certain things that you was doing. We didn't know you was holding karaoke in the mother court for the first time in 235 years. We didn't know that your clerks was telling you, are you putting your evening gown on, showing you disrespect? What is that about? What is that about? You're the man that's in the fate, had Diddy's fate right in your hands. If not for the jury, you would have given him life. I'm certain of it. If not for that jury, you would have given them life. But still, you don't even respect the jury. I'm getting dictator vibes from you. You didn't even respect the jury. You essentially told the jury that they got it wrong as well. And then, not only that, you went against your mentor. How many people do you think is going to respect you for going against Ruth Bader Ginsburg? In your field, your peers. You opened up a door to disrespect, and that's how they're going to view you. You're a young judge, and you open up the door to nothing but total disrespect. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you probably didn't think that we would find this kind of information out, but we do our research over here. If this is your mentor and you talking about you in debt for life to her, why didn't you continue her mission on acquitted conduct? It fell right into your lap. That wasn't by accident. You got one of the biggest cases of your life fall in your lap as a young judge on something that your mentor was totally against. And you dropped the ball. This is what we're going to know you for now. You dropped the ball. So everything that you said about your mentor, you've disrespected her. You disrespected Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And we just want to put it out there. All this work she put in for all these years, you disrespected her. You disrespected her, man. That's what you did. And you failed. You failed her. And you failed the law. You failed this Constitution because you didn't uphold it. You didn't uphold it. And guess what? We found out you didn't uphold it. Listen, you knew that this was an issue. You know that they've been trying to get this thing correct. And you went and stood on the other side of it, Judge. You failed. You failed miserably. If this woman was alive today, she would probably slap you. Because it's an insult. On a daily basis, you went there as you was a clerk, knowing that she was against. I can't imagine the paperwork you were around with her about this acquitted conduct, and her telling you how it violates not just the 6th, but the 5th also. She was very clear. And she wanted to keep judges like you in check to make sure you weren't abusing the Constitution and abusing the jury rights. What's the purpose of having a jury if you're on it and you overrode them? Shame on you. Shame on you. Listen, Justice Ginsburg, we heard you from the grave. And over here at the Scoreboard Keepers, we want to say salute to you and thank you for your service, okay? And we wanted to make sure that your message got out there that you were against the jury's rights being violated. Okay? That you wanted to uphold the Constitution and to make sure that judges would not override the jury and violate their rights and do things and enhance sentencing based on things that the defendant was acquitted for. We heard you, counsel. Justice, we heard you. Obviously, Judge Arun Subramanian didn't. What was he clerking? Or was he just clocking out? Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude this episode of the Scoreboard Keepers. I thank y'all for joining me. Make sure y'all thumb up the video, like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and get this video out there, share it with somebody. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was all about judges not using acquitted conduct in their sentencing. And that's exactly what they did in this Diddy case. It's not about Diddy. See, this is what some of us know. This was bigger than him. This just happened to fall into Judge Arun Subramanian's lap. And guess what? He fumbled the ball. Ruth Bader Ginsburg will be disappointed in you, sir. As many will. As many will. Ladies and gentlemen, until the next time, man, I hope to see y'all. God bless everybody out there. Diddy, no, you did whatever it was. The law says this, right? That basically this judge shouldn't be using acquitted conduct against you. Okay? Everybody was against it. Not just one justice, but three. Okay? And they wanted it to even be looked at in 2023 and to be adjusted. And guess what? Judge Arun Subramanian went behind closed doors and abused this shit and took advantage of it because he thought that the people out here are just sheep being led to the slaughter and we don't know any better. This is the equivalent to somebody that you hired for your business to find out they taking lunch breaks for 2 hours and 3 hours. They clocking out, right? Clocking back in, and then they still really on break. That's what he did. He abused the law on something that his mentor told him was unconstitutional because it violates the jury. Everybody keeps forgetting about those 12. They acquitted that conduct and he still used it. That could happen to any of us. Until the next time, ladies and gentlemen, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I will see y'all then, man. Hey, Judge, we heard you over here at the Scoreboard Keepers, okay? We heard you. And we want to let you know that Judge Arun Subramanian over here on this platform, he's listen, we're not going to disrespect him, but he gets no respect over here. He gets no respect over here because, it's like when you turn the lights on and all the roaches start to scatter. Like I knew that he was, that something was wrong with this case from the very beginning, but it was as things started going on, even till now, it's more of punishment than it is rehabilitation. We've all made mistakes. Okay? We've all made mistakes, but don't be trying to judge nobody for the rest of their life off of a mistake as if they can't redeem themselves. The person can redeem themselves, and anybody acting like they can't is got some kind of personal thing going on where they trying to hold some. That's power. Now, ain't nobody gonna use that against me. Nobody. What? Nobody's using that against me. Never, ever will I accept that. Never, ever. If you got somebody out here that didn't make no mistakes, show them to me, because I want to see them walk on water. I want to see them walk on water. Period. That's what people do. They make mistakes in life. It ain't about you sitting there dwelling on it. It's about where you go from there. You know what I'm saying? I'm a living testimony of that. I'm somewhere else. All the way live somewhere else. So this Judge Arun Subramanian, you come over here from a immigrant family. Your family came over as immigrants, and they came to this country, and you got in. Apparently, you went in law school somewhere, and you got around somebody like Ruth Bader Ginsburg and didn't learn a damn thing. You came over here with a dictator spirit. That's what you came over here with. You was ready to give Diddy life. And everybody needs to know that. I know you was prepared to give that man life talking about, Cassie, I heard you. What? What you mean you heard her? The jury didn't. They heard her too. It's very disrespectful, man. Very disrespectful. You took the power out of the jury's hand, and that's what Ruth Bader Ginsburg was totally against. And that's why I know that she would slap you if she was alive today. Now you have to live with that every night. You got to sleep with that. You got to sleep with that. You got to deal with that for the rest of your career. And we're putting it out there right now. Period. Ladies and gentlemen, we're out of here, man. Until the next time, make sure you guys leave your comments down below on what you guys think. Is a score? Is Judge Arun Subramanian score or snore? We're saying he's a snore. He's a snore. He don't score no points. Ain't no points on the board. There's no points on the board. So he's a snore. He's a snore, man. So we'll see you guys, man. Leave your comments down below. I'm going to comment to you guys and respond back. Y'all tell me what y'all think about this law. You know, take your emotions out of it. Leave your personal feelings out of it. What do you guys think about how they using this? You know, using and misusing this law, and we're showing you guys who the lady is that was against all of this. One, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was trying to make sure, who's well and highly respected, and who was totally against judges using acquitted conduct in their sentencing and enhancing. And I mean, I heard some people say Diddy was enhanced up to something like 15 levels for a first-time offender. And we all know that was based on that video, and that video has nothing to do with what he was convicted of. Nothing. So you guys, leave your comments below, and like I said, I'll respond back to you guys. So until then, I'll see you guys on the next episode. Score. Peace. God bless everybody out there. Judge Arun Subramanian, you failed. That lady would slap you in your face if she was alive today. Shame. I would never want that on my jacket. Not from my mentor.